Well, hey baby. Happy, March 28th? We start all those videos the same way. I'm trying to think of something original to start them with, but at the same time I like the repetition of your name, baby, and our project here, our Father's Day, Valentine's Day project. I was thinking today, I briefly mentioned yesterday that you were on spring break with your mother in North Carolina, and I actually looked at a map and assume perhaps the first state besides Indiana that you have been to is either Ohio or Kentucky, depending upon which direction or which way that you went. I'm assuming you didn't fly anyway. You might have flown. If you flew, then none of this matters. But if you drove, you probably either went into Kentucky through Louisville, or you went into Ohio through Cincinnati. And you can get there either way, actually, to where you're at in North Carolina. And what's funny is it's quite possible that recording this here and talking to you about it, that I will be the only one that will ever share this with you, the fact that you went to North Carolina when you were just under 2 years old. Your mother will always remember it. She'll be able to recall it and tell it to you, but it's questionable whether or not when you're a teenager she'll actually go over the details of the trip. Maybe she will. Maybe she's taking pictures and everything. I hope she is. But actually that's not really what I'm focused on tonight. I'm focused on your first state. And so I'm going to have to ask your mom at some point which direction that she went to North Carolina from, because if she went south on 65, then you went into Kentucky first, and Kentucky would be your first state other than Indiana. And if you went a little bit east, then Ohio would be, Cincinnati, Ohio would be your first state outside of Indiana. And then if you flew, which I don't know, maybe you're flying, maybe you're not. If you flew, then you probably flew straight into North Carolina. And to count a state, Matt Fulkerson and I, my buddy Matt, designed a system. You have to actually put your feet on the ground, on the soil in that state for it to count. And that's true for countries too. And so if you just land, let's say you flew an airplane, you took an airplane to North Carolina, and let's say you had a layover in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know why you would, but you may. And in that, you just stayed on the airplane. You did not get off of the airplane. And other people maybe did, but you did not. And then the airplane took off again and went to North Carolina. We don't count that. We don't count that as a state. I don't think, anyway. I have to think about that. But if you drive, then we do. Then we do count that. And so if you flew to North Carolina and did not get out of the plane for a layover, then North Carolina would be your first state. So that's an interesting discussion. And I was sitting there thinking today, I was like, trying to remember what my first state was. I think I was older than you. You're pretty young, actually, to go on a vacation. Congratulations. That's something to say about your mommy, too. But I think my first state was Florida. Yeah, because I was 5 or 6 years old. It was 1982 or 1983. And it's funny what you forget. I had forgotten about that. And I have now been to all 50 states. No, I have Montana. I got to go to Montana. And so I've been to 49 of the 50 states. And so it took me a while to really think about this and put it together. But it's Florida. And we flew to Florida. We flew straight from Indianapolis International Airport to Orlando, Florida. In 1983, I was 6, my brother Scott was 5, and we went to Disney World. My mother had won a trip actually on a radio station, and she took us to Disney World. She and my father took us to Disney World. So Florida was my first state. We don't know. Kentucky, Ohio, or North Carolina is yours. That's important to me, and I'll be kind of focusing on that at some point when I go on to tell your story and look at all the wonderful things that you're going to do in your life. So anyway, Florida was my first state, and we're going to wait on the verdict for yours, whether it was Kentucky or Ohio or North Carolina. But either way, if you drove, you definitely got, like I said, 3 or 4 or 5 states. So hope you're having a good time, baby. Like normal, I'm thinking of you. Happy Father's Day and happy Valentine's Day, March 28th, 2022.